Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
I'm Rich.
I'm Craig.
And we are Whose Turn Board Games. So in this video we're going to be talking about the game Scoville. This is I think it's a 2 to 6 player game, and it's kind of just a cluster. It can be really confusing with what's going on overall, but we're just going to be talking about how the game plays, our thoughts on it, if it's kind of a pro, and then kind of doing the score, the typical review stuff overall. So I will start with one thing that I do really enjoy about this game. I like the fact that this is very unique. Yes, there's certain aspects of certain games and everything else with the scoring and with the snaking of you go first, you go back, you go first. But I like the fact that there's really nothing else that's like this where you plant and then harvest and then you fulfill. Mm-hmm. Overall, I like that. It's just so you don't really play anything else. I've never played anything else like it that's like this. It's very very unique.
Yeah, and you build your own board. Yeah. Kind of like with, like you said, there's elements of other games, like you can build your own board with, like Earth or whatever was one of the latest ones we played with that. The snaking back and forth is kind of like Power Grid. The auction thing to see who goes first is sort of like 5 Tribes. So it kind of brings in all of these other games, but then this interaction of peppers and buying chili recipes and then just, the market cards or even selling your peppers so it takes something from all of those, makes its own completely different game, and it's kind of cool. The only thing I didn't really like was the movement, and especially early, was rough.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That is both...
Starts off slow.
One of my... It's probably my biggest pet peeve with the game is how the movement feels so constructive. You only get 3 moves unless you burn a one-time extra move step.
That's worth 4 points.
That's worth 4 points, but at the same time,
it could get you a huge thing.
You have to make sure that you use it at the right time, because I used mine when we played this game in order to get a ghost pepper first, which pretty much got me the win, because I laid my black pepper and then a ghost pepper, and I got 21 points just for laying those 2. So it's huge if you play it right, but I think that the 4 should be the default almost, because moving 3 times to get 3 sets of peppers really doesn't seem, especially since if you look at the board, there's how many of these that are just wasted. Anything brown is just basically, well, that was a wasted turn for move. You can't be wasting moves, and if you're on the side anywhere, I feel like it could be, having that 4th movement is a little bit better, but also I understand why they only did 3, because it was a pretty fast game. It took a little bit to get going, but once we got in the afternoon, it's like, okay, we're chugging, we're moving. It goes quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of like where I took away from Imperial Settlers, where it kind of has that almost extra turn where now you're chugging and you still have a turn or 2 to go once you finally get there. Mm-hmm. Here, you're starting to get there and the game's over. Yeah. So you're like, oh, I'm finally starting to be able to get a bunch of the things I want, but the game's done, so that doesn't matter. Yeah. So you kind of are working all the way to the end, and it doesn't really get to that phase where you're like, oh, I'm getting ghost white, green, and I'm getting everything I need in a turn. It doesn't really get to that point, or if it does, it's 1 turn. Yeah. Yep. And then it's just it ends very abruptly, which makes sense. It all makes sense. It's just the fact that I think that it could have been just a little bit better. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, I've played this with 5 people, and it's just a show, just a cluster, because you have one garden, everybody's chasing each other, you're blocking left and right, you're just kind of banking out everywhere. Anyone who's off on their own wins the game, because you don't have to worry about, I can only move twice because I'm completely blocked, or I'm not getting any colors because I'm screwed. Or you don't have people screwing them. I don't need to put anything over here. I'm set up for 2 turns. I'm going to completely screw the whole thing up by putting a pepper up here. Yeah, that's the other part that I kind of like. If someone is off on their own, you're just like, oh, how would you like these brown peppers? Not saying that's not a fun part of it. It's just, and it has a very heavy analysis paralysis, which it's self-inflicted, obviously, it always is, but it just seems like you think way too hard about what's the right move. Mm-hmm. You do it, and then next turn you're like, well, that was a complete and total wasted move. I just did that entirely wrong. Yeah. You know what I mean? But
it's bidding in this game, it doesn't mean, and moving and stuff is a little less important in the first round or 2, because you're still building the board. But when it comes to the last 2 to 3 rounds, you're really trying to keep track of what people are picking up, their positioning that they're going to likely want to try and be in, because they're probably going to want to fulfill first, or harvest first so that they can maybe get the stuff to fulfill and hope that no one else can get it before them.
One thing I was going to say is I really enjoy the auction aspect. I like that you get free peppers every single turn. I feel like there should be one more card up there, just permanently.
Yeah.
It should be, instead of like per person, it should be per person plus one.
Yeah, because then I get the last player that goes has no choice other than to take the worst possible card that's
which nobody else wants because it's either useless or it's because there's somebody on the board. Like there was a point up there where there was a white and an orange, and it's like, okay, I don't have a white or an orange. I don't really want that last one at all, but I don't like, you know what I mean? Like it just depends. I just think that needs to have one more card up there. Understandably, with like more people, it's obviously gonna have more options, so you get that. But
then
it's still the last
player
person
gets boned,
which is something that you take into effect for bidding. But I don't really think that it's fair that you bid in order to get the peppers first to plant for. Like, you know what I mean? So it doesn't. I don't know. We've not played this game a whole bunch of times. This is your first time playing it. I think we've played it like 3 or 4 times total.
Probably 4 times, I'd say.
A couple with just 2 or 3, and then a couple like 1 with 5. So
I think there might need to be a slightly, like, it's almost right, but it feels like you need a little more of a chance to get red, yellow, blue peppers.
Yes.
Yep.
Like you're just short of the starting peppers.
Which this time we had a lot of yellow because we had the double up yellow and we got a couple of yellows early. I had a lot of yellow. But the blue definitely blocked us, which is another reason why I think that this needs to have one more. Because there was the 3 of a kind up there to potentially get it. You know what I mean? It's not the most common one, but you do almost have to have that foresight once you've played it a couple times to be able to get those original 3 colors. But that also kind of makes it, because like at first you're trying to get the black and the white, you know what I mean?
Like
but then later you need to get the first 3, the red, white, blue,
it's
or
weird
the red,
how
yellow,
it shifts
blue.
because like late morning phase, you're really trying to race to get those black, white, and ghost, and then as it hits the late afternoon phase into the end of the game, you're like, I need some of the original like blue, red, and yellow ones to be able to get these last few.
It's definitely going to be the next thing I try when we play this game again. Is early, I did a lot of the early plaques and got those ones, which are kind of easy to get. And maybe not necessarily race for the whiter or the ghost pepper and stuff, but focus more on getting a lot of peppers early and then transitioning to the ghost at the end. And I'm maybe not saying ignore the plaques, but I feel like, you know, at the end here, look, blue, 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 no one can buy the blue chilies. If I'm buying blue chilies, but I, you know, say I didn't get any of these plaques, now I could get one of the 20s and a 10 and a 5. Yeah.
You're trading 10 points in plaques or 12 points in plaques for 22.
That's how I felt. That's how I feel that they should be, is that you just kind of get them as you do get them for the first 2. The white, the black, and the ghost are intentional. You know what I mean? Like, you put those down intentionally. You put down a white and a black to get a ghost. You put down a ghost to get that plaque, because it is worth 12 points. I think it's 14 for the other one. So there's a lot of points with those.
The hard part is when you're, you know, with the way the movement is too, if you're the one that gets in the area where you get them first and then plant it, and then you're right there, it's hard to be someone that wasn't that person that gets that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if someone's right next to you that harvests is before you, and you're planting out that ghost pepper, you're like, do I really want to plant it kind of where I wanted to in my side of the board? Because they're just going to likely land on it and block me, or they're going to get the peppers first.
Well, that's the thing, though. But if you're harvesting first as you do it, you don't really care, because you're gonna be moving first, and you're not gonna bid anything. And so even if they tie you, I mean, you go last, or well, you harvest first.
Yeah, and I think that the only thing that I really like about this game, like, it's really fun, like how unique it is, everything like that. I really like how there's no one way to win it. It seems like it's nice getting one of these every single time. It's nice to try to get one of those, you know, you're saving up for one of the recipes. You get these as you get them. But ultimately, if you were just stuck, there was a point where I was stuck with like 8 yellow. So I'm like, I'm going to sell 5. Yeah, it's only 1 point, it's only a coin a piece, but I'm at least making something. There's how many games out there that when you get the resource, if you can't spend it, it's just a waste of time. You know what I mean? So you just get there and it's like, well, this is completely worthless at the end of the game. Yep. I like the fact you can trade it in at any point for money as long as there's on there. Like, brown, typically, from what I've seen, it ends up worth having 6 on the board, 5, 6.
One of the most valuable ones.
So you end up wanting to get multiple browns because there's so many on the board.
Mm-hmm.
But also, with so many more people, these go faster, those go faster, and then your garden builds fast. So it's the catch-22 of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's just something, I don't know, I can't put words to it, but like, I liked this game, and I'm definitely going to play it again. But there's just something about it, maybe it's the aesthetic or what it's about or something about it that's just keeping it, because like you said, it's a unique game. It has all these cool like things from other games that are good, but then for some reason I'm not like, oh my gosh, this game is
amazing,
one of the best,
yep.
you know? And I don't know what that is. Yeah, so with that, I think I'd give this game, I'll go with a 7.3. I feel it's like a nice...
It's a virgin 7.3. Only playing it the first
yeah.
time.
But I feel like it's a nice game. It's a very unique game. It was a fun game. But like I said, there was just some quality, whether it's the aesthetic or something about it, that just didn't give me that level of excitement that I get with like maybe a Stone Age or a Power Grid that I'm playing. But yet it's a very good game.
Yeah. Point wise, I would probably give this in the 7 range, probably like a 7.6. I really like the game, but like Richard was saying, there's something kind of missing. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know if it's like the satisfactory of doing like point bombing. It's only really hits when you're doing like the really big, powerful chilies that are harder to get. I think, without really saying it, I think the game just ends slightly too early. Is because it's almost like a denial. Like, you get your stuff going, the map is just starting to kind of come out into play really nice, and then it just ends. It doesn't allow the map to kind of fill out more to where it's gonna go around doing stuff. I feel like if there was like a evening phase to this game, it would be that much better.
Yeah, no, I think that's solid. I think that's definitely something, and I don't know if there's expansions of the game, but like, I think that's actually a really good idea, that it definitely should. Or even resetting a couple of the recipes when we go in the afternoon versus just ending.
Adding like a couple extra recipes,
but
laying out 3 more.
But point value, I would say it's probably like an 8.2 for me. I personally enjoy gardening, kind of. Like, I have a garden. I like the benefits of it. I love spicy food, so peppers, awesome. This game was, I won't say built for me, but it's definitely, I like it. I like the fact that it's so unique. I like that we're growing peppers. I like that we're doing spicy. I think what they're looking for is this game mimics a lot of the other games. It does a lot of little pieces. It kind of like Frankenstein's all of these other games into one and makes it its own. But there's no identity there because it's a little piece of Five Tribes, it's a little piece of Stone Age, it's a little piece of whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of Frankenstein's it together. And yeah, it's unique, but it doesn't really have its own soul, so to speak. But I enjoy it. Yes, it's got its flaws. Yes, I think it could do better, but I think it's a really fun game. I like the chaos, and I would love to see this with 6 people, just to see how stupid it could be. Because it would be so fun to see like how big the garden would get. But also, I think the game would end in like 5 turns.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd have so many places.
There's so
to go
many people that with 3 or 6 instead of 3 players, you're getting twice as many peppers on the board. So,
but you have twice as many people. Yeah, you have more options up here, but you have twice as many, and it stops once you get to 5. So it's like, I think that would be just fun chaos, and I think that's part of the fun, is just being able to block somebody, because I was able to block somebody, and it made me kind of smile doing it, knowing fully well that I'm losing 4 points just to block somebody else from being able to get this. But again, 8.1. I enjoy the game. It's not something that it's like, oh my god, I need to get to the table, but I will always be all like, oh, that'd be a really fun one. Let's play that one real quick. But definitely would recommend this one. So, and that's our review for Scoville. So let us know in the comments down below if you play the game, if you like the game, what you kind of like or dislike about it overall, and then obviously any fun stories you have of a 6-player game. If you have any, that's one of my life goals now, I think, is to play this one 6-player. But otherwise, leave a comment down below. Give us a like if you like the video. If you want to follow us on our board game journey, we're still kind of starting out. We'd really appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button and just kind of watch our videos as they come out. That would really help a lot. Otherwise, that's about all I got. So, I've been Eric.
Rich.
And I'm Craig.
And whose turn?